everybody. I'm Father Harry. I'm called the Padre, and with me is the Pritch. The Pritch is
Morning.
Padre. We're here for 30 minutes of fun and faith and friendly atmosphere.
Fun, faith, friendly.
Is that your middle name?
Yes, it is. Fun, faith, friendly.
Well, let's hope we can prove that to our viewers, listeners today. I thought, and I hate to do this to you, Mike, because I know you watch more than I do, but I did happen to see a film lately, and I was drawn to it because it was about a priest. It was called Father Stu.
Father Stu, yeah.
Did you see that?
Yes, with the Wahlberg.
Wahlberg,
They're
Mark
great,
Wahlberg.
great Catholic kids. And he, you know what? I like that young man a lot and his whole family because he teaches redemption because he made some mistakes in his life and he redeemed himself. He's a good, fine young man, a great dad, great husband and father to kids, and a great entrepreneur. But
I mean, kids, all kind his kids.
yeah, his own kids. But the other thing is that he got in trouble when he was a young man, and finding those young men. When I used to work at juvenile hall, he was my prime candidate. Young men like him who had moral turpitude, had kindness, had love, had compassion, and made mistakes.
Oh.
And they could find their way back to Christ and find their way back to the light and then become something way more. I mean, this guy is way more than anybody ever expected him to be coming back from his working class neighborhood in Massachusetts, and a fine example of redemptive spirit and kindness and good moral clarity. He really is a good guy.
Well, I'm going to stop you for a second because I want to tell you my part of this, okay?
Sure.
Because I wasn't particularly enthused about the film. Mel Gibson was also in it.
Right.
And it turns out it's based on a true story.
Sure.
So the part about him, he goes through life normally and falls in love and then gets interested because his girlfriend is a very church-going person.
Right.
So he's following her around. Then he gets so interested in the priesthood that he leaves her and goes to the seminary.
Right.
And then he develops the MS. So he's got MS. It comes time for him to be ordained a priest, and the bishop says, no, you can't really function very well.
You can't serve this way.
And your life is... he didn't use the word crippled, and they didn't use the word handicap, but that's in fact what happened to him.
Yeah.
See, he was challenged. So then at the end he gets worse and worse, and finally the bishop relents and they ordain him a priest.
Right.
So here's the point I wanted, the line that made sense to me and still makes sense to me in a lot of things. It says sometimes God in your journey in life makes you take the scenic route.
Yes.
The scenic route.
Right.
And it hit me because when you're sick or you meet people who are say, oh, you got 6 months to live, suddenly things become more meaningful.
Clarity.
Yeah, your friends, you never know. I use this in church. My real tough, angry buddy who was dying of cancer, when I visited him in the hospital, he said, Harry, go out and hug a tree. And he was the farthest thing that this guy would ever say. Yeah.
Right.
Now, he didn't care about tree huggers or anybody who was doing any good for the atmosphere or the water or trees or forestry. But he just said, go out and hug a tree. He said that would, if I could do that, if I could get up out of my bed, if I could walk out and sit in the forest, and I would hug a tree.
Do you think it was I would go do something that I had opposed all my life and thought not worthy of my attention nor my thing, and he had learned internally that suffering, there's that line by Aeschylus, with every drop of pain on the human heart, wisdom grows.
Oh, okay. Aeschylus.
Yeah, Greek philosopher.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything less from a guy like a Pritch, quoting some Greek ornithology. No, that's bird watching.
It's the same thing, yeah. But
Watching you is like watching. Oh, go ahead.
it's to me. I see those reprises because I work in hospice, and I also work a lot with people who are sick or ill, and even children, and they're so wise because of what they're transitioning through, and that transition brings introspection.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping that everybody goes through. And I know that Mark Wahlberg and his family, I mean, he was implicated in an assault that somebody was severely injured for and he had to serve time for. And what I try to tell people, I don't know how many dozens of stuff, from the time in 72 when I first started at juvenile hall in St. Louis, I would meet kids who were in deep, deep trouble. And you were, part of my job was to be probation counselor and talk to them. Mm-hmm. But the other part was to kind of slyly be a minister of change, not religion. I wasn't interested in making them be Catholic. I was interested in them redeeming their soul so that they felt worthy of the opportunity that lay before them in life. And that's, I think, like right now with everybody that says, because this is what Father Stu said, I guess I had, God gave me the scenic route. I know that. You know that. Yeah. We had things in our lives. I mean, you could have become a bitter guy when you lost your mom and dad. And I lost my father early. I was 17 years old when my pop passed away, and he died a really hard life. He was from a huge family, and his mother died of Spanish flu when he was a little boy. And
What'd your dad die
of? My dad had cancer.
LSMFT?
Yeah, exactly. Fine tobacco, exactly. Yeah. All of them. All those World War II guys, Yeah. He was an Army officer, and as he was passing away, we were poor. We had to bring him home. We now know that hospicing somebody in a loving situation is a good way to go. But in those days, we had shame issues. Yeah. That you didn't have enough money for your dad to be in a hospital. And my mother had to borrow money from one of the Catholic school teachers she worked with at St. Dismas, who gave her money to...
Your father would be proud to know you're still poor. Oh, that's my son, Michael. He was a big success. Oh, well, he's big, but... he's poor.
But the irony of that is when my wife watches this, she's going to go, now they all know.
Yeah. Tell her it's my fault.
Oh, no. She's not going to blame you. You're not married to her. She has a target much more closely specific. Target unload. She's like a drone, man. Come on. She's like...
Well, you carry the target on your back.
Oh, I have for 40 years of marriage since you married us. I was sitting there going like this. I go, oh, boy, this is going to be swell.
Yeah.
And that's it. I just told him this joke that the wealthy man says, I want to be buried with $1 billion, $1 billion, all the cash, all the gold, all the Rolexes in my casket. And they see the widow the next day, and they said, did you comply with his wishes? She goes, oh, yeah, I wrote him a check. So, Marin County, folks.
Yeah. And I told you that's so old, That,
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's from a...
Custer was shot by Indians and told him the same joke. No, I think it was Ocean's 11. But there were a bunch of Ocean's 11.
Right. And so all I can tell you is that my exposure to people redeeming themselves out of circumstances where they were arrested, incarcerated, put in for a long period of time. One of the guys goes, I watched this guy who was an incredible sculptor up way in Alaska, in Fairbanks, Alaska, in the state prison, and he's carving what is called scrimshaw whalebone, whale tooth, right? And
I didn't know it was called that, but
Yeah.
then again, that's probably part of Greek mythology.
No, this is Native American. It's Inupiaq.
How do you spell it?
He probably thinks Manhattan is pronounced Manhattan and doesn't know it's Manhattan.
It's like
So-
the guy thought Henry Cabot Lodge was a motel.
Yeah.
He said, "What do you know about foreign diplomacy?" Well, I know Henry Cabot Lodge. What do Henry Cabot? Yeah, it's a motel.
It was a motel. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you could use it.
I'm going to steal that. Of course I will. And I knew a man who was so smart he thought Henry Cabot Lodge was a hotel. So, but what I was going to say is, when I think back in life about, talking to kids and people, that moment where a person, you can see, this, you've had this happen when they hit the mother lode of their soul and they awaken in the power of spirit to the fact that it's their responsibility for their own redemption, their responsibility for their own awakening. And when you see that in a kid who, we had it with the fellas here, we had a young man named John Wallace who was on CBS News, but he sat with all of us. It was a remarkable moment for all of the young people here on staff and the kids when he forgave the policeman that had severely injured and brain damaged his mother, and he forgave him. And he was weeping as he did it on camera with us, and I could feel the movement wasn't just his. It was in the young people like Cesar and Chris and the rest of the staff here that were like, wow, this is a moment, right? And he went on, and he's on CBS News for working with kids and helping kids after a 5-year sentence in prison. And that's all you want from people, to get it and then join us in the enlightened reinforcements moving forward to save planet Earth, mirth, rebirth.
So has Mary Jo, your lovely wife, I wanted to hear me say that.
Yes, of course, after you, from the altar a week ago, he goes, Mike said to his wife, "You look lovely today." And she remarked, "What was wrong with what I had on yesterday?" And everybody laughed. And I went, oh, this is
I
going
didn't
bad.
mean that. I had to use you, though.
Yes. Oh, you have to use me. Yeah.
Your cane was blocking tripping people coming up
Yes,
to communion.
it's true. I leave that cane.
I wondered whether through her cancer she felt that scenic route. I know when I found out that I had colon and stage 4 and going to have all this chemo and everything, I started eating hot dogs because I love hot dogs.
Yeah. What? So you adjusted to think I've got to get more of this.
Yeah. So instead of hugging trees and enjoying flowers and fauna, I took it out in food. And I can remember going to what's that?
Were they at least vegan or turkey hot dogs?
No, they were.
Oh no, full beef.
Greasy Nathan.
Please don't say Greasy Nathan. They might want to sponsor Grease. He didn't mean Greasy Nathan's.
I didn't. I meant that the grease adds flavor. Makes the Nathan hot dog much better.
Bratwurst in St. Louis, man. The brats, the guys making the
Well, you
Brussels
never know
sprouts,
whose fingers and toes might be in
Well,
there.
but who's noticing? Smother them in mustard and some chili. You're not going to notice. Anyway.
So this part of my life, I began to notice things a little
Right.
more. And even today more because I take note of other people's stories now.
Right.
When I hear. And, the older you get, the closer you get
Yes.
to seeing friends and family who are not making it
Right.
as you might be.
Yeah.
And so it's the scenic route, and
Right.
you just have to appreciate so many things in life. I could just think about one of my best friends who was a priest, and he couldn't drive anymore. Like He loved cars. His whole life was
Right.
cars.
And then couldn't
And
drive.
couldn't drive anymore. And I mean, talk about a painful way to
Right.
live the last 2 or 3 years of
Right.
your life. You can't get up and go where you want to
You're
go.
in a prison.
You're in prison, and you can depend on some people to take him for donuts, etc.
Yeah.
If you buy.
Anyway, so yeah.
Well, but sometimes, as I had mentioned in church one time, people come to this kind of pronouncement. Oh, you're terminal. You got 6 months or something
Yeah.
like that. Or there's nothing we can do. We can turn off the machine.
Right.
It's like driving and you come to a stop sign.
Right.
You don't just stop and stay there. You do something. So,
Right.
You look both ways to see what's coming or going, and then you move on.
You
So we all have to do this.
That's
And it's hard to tell people who are terminal that, hey, look, this is in some ways this is a gift. You now have time
exactly.
to tell people you love them. You have time. You have time on your side
Right.
to do things the way you would like them to
Like
end.
yes. And that's what I liked about the kid who was dyslexic, Father. He said depression also spelled I pressed on.
Oh,
Which is you must press on. And, Dr. Martin Luther King's line about that was, if you can fly, fly. If you can run, run. If you can just walk, walk. But if you can't fly or run or walk, all you can do is crawl, crawl, keep moving forward. Because life isn't over until it's over. And we can't assume, as we have heard even in Scripture, no one knows the hour of the day, of the end of all time, nor the end of all life. Do what you can to do good, as much good. This was John Wesley who said, do as much good as you can in as many places as you can, in as many ways as you can, as many times for as many people as you can. Do good, do good, do good. Do good. And that is the echo back through time that you hear when you offer that. The best sermon is a good example. I noticed that even my little grandson goes, he questions my kindness at times because people will be mean or something or read.
maybe his grandmother has given.
Oh no! If she watches this, I'm burned. No. Here we go.
Yeah, well,
You can't help yourself,
I
can
can't.
you? You can't.
I can. I
you
can just see her face.
yeah. Look at it's just
Go out in the garage and smoke a cigar. I know you don't smoke, but
You need to, sure. What, don't you have something to do? That's my favorite line, My father used to say that. You'd be standing there. My dad's going, I got to put some more of the tiles on the roof. What are you doing? Nothing. Why did I say that? Come with me. I got something for you to do. Dad, it's 117 degrees. Could we pick a different time? He goes, come on. So I go, I think my dad was an Army officer. Used to issuing orders. But, when I was up there on the roof and I was tacking on the tiles and stuff like that, I'd be looking at him and he'd go, all right, good job, let's go. And, the thing about it was he'd go, this is the 1950s in America. When we're done, this tells you everything. I'll get you a Dr. Pepper.
oh, see,
I would work like an idiot for hours for a Dr. Pepper. Wow. Try that with the kid nowadays.
Yeah. I get you a doctor, a psychiatrist.
10, 2, and 4.
Yeah.
10, 2, and 4, Dr. Pepper. So, yeah. So, but if you said to a kid like, no, we're going to work for 4 hours on the roof putting tile on when I'm done, I'll buy you a Dr. Pepper. And you're ecstatic. You're like, man, I got Dr. Pepper. Now, if you said that to a kid anywhere, they'd go,
Oh,
yeah, I don't think so.
My dad always gave me a strawberry soda. And then he would say, are you going to drink all of that? Why don't you put the cap on and save some more for tomorrow?
For tomorrow. Save it for tomorrow. Vest, right? Was it Vest?
You couldn't drink it. Oh,
Yeah.
it was,
Strawberry.
what was it? They had grape and strawberry and cream. And
Yeah. Cream soda.
what was it called?
Vess, Vess.
Oh.
In Missouri. That's
Yeah.
what it was called. Yeah. Right. I remember things, Harry.
Yeah, but then I graduated to Royal Crown Cola.
Oh, yeah. Good
Was
stuff.
that good or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you think back, there's people sitting out there going, what are these two? Why are these two old codgers codging? Here's my face, folks, for when I get older.
Yeah.
I'm telling you and me and everyone. And don't call me and tell me, and don't write on the thing you're making fun of seniors. Shut up, I'm a senior. So,
You know, the Archbishop Niederauer, who I lived with,
George.
he always had this expression, and he used it several times. And he used to say, well, Harry, I know you're going to be able to get somebody to fulfill this position, but you might think about hiring old people. They're fun to watch.
I don't know why we're laughing
we are,
now.
yeah.
Here we are.
Old people, they're fun to watch.
Hey, here's somebody to make fun of. We have become the old people we used to laugh at.
Where's my keys? Where's my glasses? Where's
every
my wallet?
day. And
Where's my car? Oh, it's in the parking lot.
this is my wife's response. Oh, let's go on the treasure hunt. You know, gee, honey, that seems so sarcastically cruel. To a senior citizen. So, sure, but you just keep, you know, because if she gives you, let me show you the look I get if I say something.
Oh, you mean like, honey,
Anything.
you look nice today?
Oh, no, anything. Name it. I'm smart enough to go. It's the old Bob Hope, you know. I used to make all the guys in the military laugh when I would do the great swordsman D'Artagnan. I'd go like this. And this was from an old Bob Hope bit. He'd go, and Geld.
I do that with holy water.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, when we're coming down. he hit me the other day, and he goes, just be quiet, you know. Like, I didn't even say anything. People like, they because at church, when he mocks me or says anything, they enjoy it more when I'm being mocked than my wife does.
Well, you've got hippo skin.
I prefer rhino.
Oh, I figured.
I mean, hippo seems so obese.
Yeah, well.
And a rhino is with the giant horn, you know.
Really.
And that's one of the big things of advice I've always given.
You remember Flip Wilson?
Oh, yeah. I used to love him.
When he
yeah.
had his own show, he used to do that thing about, he told the story about he was in the military, and because he didn't want to be in the military, they put him as an assistant to the chaplain.
Oh,
you remember? So
good job. Yeah.
So he comes in, and he's the chaplain says to him, your first job is to go out and tell the troops, line them up, and tell them that Private Johnson's mother passed away. So you remember this?
Yes, I do.
You do, really?
Yes, I do remember this.
Yeah. I thought
I love that joke.
I
love
laughed
that.
for 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
So he goes out there and said, attention, all men, attention, get in line. All men with mothers, take 1 step forward. Johnson, be cool.
Not so fast, Johnson.
Not so
Not
fast.
that fast, Johnson.
God.
I used to love that, you know. And you know,
What was the old lady that he played? Do you remember?
He had. Oh my gosh! Now, what was her name?
She had rags when she was a poor lady.
she was hilarious. Yeah. He was a brilliantly clever and very sweet energy guy for the 70s and 80s because he had
Well, he didn't need all the foul language and
he was
innuendo.
a softer side of Sears, right? Just gentle comedy. I think it's different. Like that's the generation of women and men that I grew up with that were, because now, even when I'm in the comedy clubs, it's not like after years of parole work and probation work, I haven't heard the language. It's just that you're like going, wow, because the places they'll go now are completely different, and it's I don't have any blame for that.
You mean different in the sense of language? Is
In the sense of cruelty at times, that's my big issue is when a comedian can be cruel on stage. There was one of them was very funny, but you could feel a crowd in my day snap and scared fright because there was a woman and she was kind of heavy set and the comedian said, hey, I know why you're upset. Everybody in the whole place has a drink in front of them and all you have in front of you is a salt lick.
Oh.
And the crowd turned on him, right? Because they were like, and you're like, whoa. And she began to cry.
Wow.
And got up and left the club crying. And what you learned it was, it's unnecessary to do that. I don't blame the guy. This is part of the comedy club venues, and we saw people do this. But cruelty is something that we got to put a marker on and say, hey, come on, don't make a person.
Another form of bullying, right?
Exactly, and I know that for years when this guy Tim Miller wrote a book about this, he said we hire strangers, we hire resident strangers to talk hate and bring hate. And because of the book that he wrote, he said on the internet, hate has become so much a part of the algorithm and logarithm that there might not be a return from it because the cruelty is so great. And it's incumbent on all of us as Americans to think that you don't want your child raised in this petri dish, because that does not bode well for their choices for our senior citizens' homes. Because anything can happen to you if you've taught a person that cruelty is acceptable, that harsh words.
Yeah.
And like I tell the kids, use your words as shields and not as swords. And the greatest, to me, and you know this because of your family members in the Marine Corps, the greatest asset I had for anger management in my entire life was the United States Marine Corps boot camp. Because if I could get a kid into boot camp in the Marine Corps, they taught you, they'd strip you down, and then they'd build you back up until you were proud of yourself, you felt yourself moving forward, and you were part of a cohesive group, a unit, transforming that fear that you had inside you that you were unworthy or inadequate. Now you're part of a sisterhood and a brotherhood that will make a difference in the world. And when they go out and do humanitarian work, that's when the Marine Corps is at their best.
As I said one time, the 7 last words in the church are, "We've never done it that way before."
Right, yeah.
So, the Marine Corps is still doing what they did years ago to build people up.
Yeah.
Pritch, it's been fun.
All right, Padre, all good.
I hope that you can join us again someday as we muddle our way through life. Trying to make the best of sometimes bad situations.
Muddle in the puddles, folks, but keep moving forward. Drift into that safe harbor, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Full steam ahead.
And remember, what did I write down here? A guidepost is not a hitching post.
Wow.
So you don't just ride up on your horse and put the reins down. you find out where you're going. God bless you all. See you, Pritch.
Have a great day, Father.